guys, it's Michelle from Cozyegg. This is episode 93, and today is Monday, July 27th, 2020. So, let's see, this is a channel primarily about cross-stitching. I do also talk about quilting and knitting and books and whatever else enters my head at any given time. But primarily we're here for the cross stitching. So if this is your first time here, thanks for checking me out. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. I appreciate it. Let's see. So the last time I recorded was, I think, the 13th, so it's been a couple of weeks. Not too much has been going on since then, you know, just the usual pandemic, anti-racism, you know, the huge. Crazy times that we are living in. So I have been doing stitching. Other than that, I am still working on my organization project that I talked a little bit about last time. I did publish a new video for my haunted dollhouse project, so that went up over the weekend. If you're interested in that, I do have a playlist. There's only 2 videos right now, but I do have a playlist on my channel where all of the haunted dollhouse videos will go, so that in the future you can find them easily. So that went up this weekend, and not too much else going on. It's super hot here in Texas, and we're not going out, but I wouldn't want to go out anyway because it's hot. So there you go. All right, let's just jump into it, shall we? So when we last talked, I was getting ready to work on dark 13 stitching. So I will show you that. So I was working on Hallow Eden by Plum Street Samplers, and in her chart she actually gives you 2 options. One is more sort of Halloween themed, and like the pumpkins are actually like jack-o'-lanterns, and there's a black cat down here and instead of the acorn, etc. So but this is the version that I liked. So you can see most of it here. I had to scooch it over a little bit so that I could work on this side. But so I finished up all of the alphabet, and I had a few more of these little doodads to do, so I got those done. I finished all of the pumpkins, and then I started on the leaves for the tree. And I was gearing up for a finish on this. I was like literally within a day of finishing this probably, and I ran out of thread. So I'm using mostly the called for colors on this, but some I didn't have, so I substituted. So the outline of these leaves, I'm using, I think it's Weeks Swiss Chocolate for it. It's, I love it. It's kind of a reddish brown. I used it in my coffee Quaker that I did years ago, because Swiss chocolate just seemed like it made sense in that sampler. So that's the color that I ran out of. And so there is another sort of row of leaves that fills in this area. So I have some more on the way. A wonderful person has bailed me out and is sending me some, which I'm super thankful for, because I'd really like to get this finished now that I'm so super close to having it finished. And the fabric that I'm stitching it on, I believe, is a 36 count. And I believe that this was dyed by Sylvia. Before she moved to Germany, she handed me sort of a stack of fabrics and said, if you want any of these, they're yours. And so I have proceeded to stitch multiple things on this piece of fabric, but it just seemed perfect for this. So I'm loving the way that it looks. I am using 2 strands of thread, so 2 over 2, because 36 count for me is that weird count that 2 is sometimes too much and 1 is sometimes not enough, you know, which is why I don't normally stitch on 36 count. But for this, the 2 over 2 actually was perfect. I really like the coverage. It's not too full. So I love this. I'm so happy that I actually kind of have been sticking with it for Dark 13 and just sort of chipping away at it, and that I'm that close to a finish. So as soon as that thread comes, which the tracking number tells me that it should be here Friday, and then it'll of course go in quarantine for a day or so. As soon as I get that, then I want to get those leaves done and get this finished and off my list. So then I think what I'm going to do is, because that has worked so well that every month for the past couple of months I've just picked this same project up on the 13th for Dark 13 stitching, I think I'm just going to pick another project and just focus on that until it's done. And I'm thinking that it might be Jinx by Raise the Roof, because that's a pretty small design and it's relatively close to being finished. And I think with some dedicated time to it, I could knock that one out easy. And then that would be one more whip off my list. So, hello Eden, yay. So I worked on that for Dark 13 stitching, and then the other thing, of course, that I was working on, that I was sort of focusing on, was Athene Noctua by Ink Circles, this little owl. And I think this may be my first Ink Circles design. So I own several, but I think this is the first one I've ever stitched. So this is based off of an ancient Greek coin that has Athena's owl on it. And I just, as soon as I saw it, as soon as it was released, I snatched it up at my local needle workshop, the Stitch Niche, and yeah, had to have it. And when I bought fabric for another piece that I stitched, I actually bought enough so that I could stitch that and have enough left over to stitch this piece. So I worked on that and I actually finished it. So here's my finish. And I love it so much, so much. I used the called for colors, and so it's a couple of Gentle Arts threads, and then I think 4 or 5 DMC. And the Gentle Arts are that pink, which is pomegranate, and then this green, which is Forest Glade, I think. Yep, Forest Glade. Oh, and then Gold Leaf, which is the gold on here. So 3 Gentle Arts and then 5 DMC. So that gold. I just love it. I literally love everything about this. I stitched it on 40 count Picture This Plus doubloon because I wanted it to have that sort of aged antique parchment sort of look to it. I just love it. And of course, the more I hold it, the more my camera is like readjusting the color. But so fun. I can't get over how much I love this. And I mean, you can see it's not very big. Love her, love her, love her. So, finished her up, actually last night. I was supposed to start the damn Bird SAL, which I'll talk about next, on the 25th, on Saturday. But I was so close to having the owl finished that I just wanted to keep going. So I just kept at it, and Saturday I got almost no stitching done because I was so tired. I kept nodding off. Then last night I managed to get her finished up. So, all right, and so then that's the next thing I picked up is the damn bird for the damn Bird SAL. So this is in Blackbird Designs, Loose Feathers, Summer. This is a 3-part series, summer, autumn, and winter. There's no spring. Just like in Texas, there's no spring. So it's in this booklet, and the piece that we are doing is this partridge sewing box. And I have been in love with this since this showed up on my doorstep 8 million years ago. Whatever year this was. 2011 is my guess. 2011. And when Emily Eclectic Possessions showed this on her channel and said, I want to stitch this crazy weird bird, I was like, I'm totally in for the crazy weird bird. So after we finished up the Melancholy SAL, we decided to stitch the damn bird. And by we, I mean Michelle Bendy and Diana It Is Kismet Stitches, and Emily and myself. And of course, anybody else who wants to join in. So I know, and so we decided to start on the 25th, which was Saturday. And I know that Annette from Annette's Acre is going like gangbusters on this thing, man. She's almost got like that whole bird stitched. So she's gonna be done in no time. And I think I've seen a couple other folks stitching on it. Margot Stitches, maybe? Pretty sure. So, yeah. So I'm stitching this on, well, let me back up before I do that. So it is, it calls for belle soie. And it calls for 4 belle soie and 3 dinky dyes, so all silk. So I went and pulled what I had on hand, and I should probably leave that open so I can tell you what's called for and what's not. So it calls for tortoiseshell, it calls for weathered vine, and that's it of the colors that I have. So I also pulled Terracotta, which is a belle soie, which I thought I would use for his body. And then I pulled these 2 colors to use for his wing. So I pulled Angel Blush, which on its own looks really pink, but when you get it up against this, it looks much orangier, much more orange. And then I also pulled, so it calls for Belsois pecan pie. I have Gloriana pecan, so I thought that those two work together because this almost has a little bit of that sort of angel blush color in it, and then a little more gold. So I pulled these, and then I also have a mystery Dinky Dyes silk that I'm using for the black. No idea what color that is, but it's kind of a charcoaly black, and it has a little bit of variegation to it, not much. So it called for Dinky Dyes Black Coral, but you know, that's fine. Up on the flower here, there is this gold color, which I think is supposed to be that pecan pie. Obviously mine is not quite that gold, so I'll see when I get there if I need to pull a gold. But I think what I have will work. So, and so those were all from Stash. And I am stitching this on what I originally thought was a 40 count, but when I started it last night, I did 1/1 and the coverage was crap. So I was like, must be a 36 count. So I ripped that out and then did 2/2, and the coverage was much better. I was much happier with it, but I started, you know, kind of in the center, and I sort of started working my way up to the top of the bird's head and decided that the way that I had my fabric oriented, I was trying to conserve fabric, but the way that I had it oriented, I wasn't for sure that it was going to fit. So I just ripped that out. I turned my fabric the other way so that I have a lot more room, and hopefully I'll be fine now. So 2 false starts, but I finally got some actual stitches in that stayed, and that's it. Wah, wah. It's not super exciting. That's all I got. It's pretty. I like how it's showing up, but I like the color. I think that this fabric is Lakeside Light Exemplar, Vintage Light Exemplar, maybe Light Exemplar. I think that's what this is. But it's also sort of a mystery. But all of the pieces of fabric that I have like this, I know are all Lakeside, and especially because it's 36. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Lakeside. So, because those were the days before I knew better, that I had some 36 in stock. So, yeah, so, sad little start. But I will work on this more tonight and the rest of this week, and hopefully I can pick up some steam like Annette has and get going. So we'll see. So that is my now current whip, and I have this in my Love You More Studio Co. Tula Pink Pinkerville bag. So, ready to go on that. And like I said, hopefully tonight I can make a little more progress. Because on Saturday is the 1st of the month, right? It is Saturday, right? Let's just double check. Yes, so Saturday is the 1st of August, which means that it is time for my birthday sal. So I mentioned that I wanted to work on Hands Across the Sea and Ufendel for my birthday for the whole month. And so I invited everyone to either stitch on one of your Ufendel sisters, if you have them, or start them, or one of them. And if you don't have one of the Ufendels, feel free to jump in with any Hands Across the Sea sampler. And we're using the hashtag Cozyegg hats B-Day Sal. And I'll put it here. So I have this in my Paris macaron bag with my little macaron stitch marker from Sucre Miniatures, which was not being put to knitting use, so I put it to zipper pull use. So I thought I would show you where I'm at on this lovely, lovely thing. So here is, so this is an Ufendel, and I have it like still wrapped up in the package because I borrowed this, which is one reason why I need to get on it. So here is the sampler. She's really beautiful, and I love that checkerboard vase so much. So I am stitching this on Light Hazelnut 40 count by XJU Designs, which is beautiful. This is what, so they called for Lakeside pecan butter, which unfortunately I could not get my hands on. And so Teresa Kitten Stitcher recommended the light hazelnut for me, and so that's what I bought. And it's the first XJU Designs fabric that I've purchased, but I'm very happy with it. It's really beautiful. And this baby is big, so I needed a half yard. So I am stitching with the DMC that I put on thread drops. I have my Tudor Rose thread keep from Becky Socks for Mom, and the colors are just really, really pretty. So just beautiful. So DMC, and so I started this during Sampler Mania back in May. I was missing 2 threads, which I now have. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back and fill in where I had to skip over colors. So this is what I have so far. And I started at the top middle border. So this is the center of the piece. I don't know why I decided to start at the top middle, but I did. So pretty, really pretty. Yeah. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and fill in those colors that I'm missing. Like here, I'm missing the color around that light pink. And here I'm missing the color that goes around that gold. And this is just not liking that color. It just keeps wanting to adjust it. So, but I love this. I'm really anxious to get back to it. And I plan to work on it the whole month of August and see how far I can get. And so yeah, so I would love for anybody to join me. If you don't want to stitch on your Hands Across the Sea for the whole month of August, my birthday is the 22nd. So if you want to just stitch like right around that day or on that day, that would be awesome. And just use the hashtag so I can see what you're working on. That would be lovely. So, birthday Sal. I'm excited. So, that's really kind of all that I had to share today. Like I said, there's not been a ton going on. I've been kind of busy at work we're getting ready for a big thing. So, because of that, it's just been a little busy. And at home, we have been, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, we have been doing deep cleaning, which we try to do like twice a year, and we're a little late doing it this year. Normally we do it like in the springtime, but here we are. And so most every weekend has been taken up with doing deep cleaning. And by deep cleaning, I mean like taking everything off bookshelves and dusting, moving furniture and vacuuming under it, all that good stuff. So it's been a lot of work, and my weekends have not felt really restful because of that. So, but I think we're all finished now after this past weekend, which I'm really grateful for. So now we can move on, and maybe I can do some other things. I have been doing some charting, which has been taking up a fair amount of time. I also have another project that I've been working on. So I think I mentioned previously that I journal in an application called Day One, which I absolutely love. I can use it on my phone, I can use it on my tablet, etc. And, you know, I always thought that I was a handwritten journal kind of girl, but there's something to be said for journaling electronically, and now that I'm used to it, it works great for me. But one of the things that I really like about it is that you can create more than one journal. And so like I have one, like my general journal, which is what I write in every day. But then I also set up a creative journal, which is for, you know, what am I stitching on? You know, I've seen a lot of people showing their needlework press planners lately, and I had one of those several years ago, and they're beautiful. They're well made. If you want to keep track of what you stitch on when, those needlework press planners are fantastic. And like I said, and they're really beautiful as well. But I set up a journal, you know, because when I work on something, I don't necessarily post a photo of it every single day on Instagram. But I like to be able to see what I worked on every day. And so I do keep track of it in my bullet journal. just kind of a running tally of what I worked on, throughout the month. But more importantly, I do take a photo every night and I post that in my creative journal, and then just, 1 or 2 sentences, kind of, here's what I worked on, here's what I got done, these are the problems I had, or I had to substitute this color, or whatever. So I like being able to do that and have that, at my fingertips. I also created another journal. So I have 3 within the same app. And my third journal is my reading journal. And so I have an entry for when I start a book, and then I can just sort of keep running notes while I'm reading it of quotes that I like, or new words that I encounter, or just things that I think about. And then at the end, when I finish it, I can, write, just kind of my thoughts on it, whatever. I had been keeping track of, what I read and when I started it and when I finished it, but I sort of lost, other than, going on Goodreads and writing kind of, here's what I thought. I sort of lost a lot of that, my thoughts and things that it triggered, and not even necessarily triggered in a bad way, but memories that it may bring up, or, other books that it reminded me of, or whatever. And so I like really being able to track that as well. And one of my favorite things about the Day One app, and I know this sounds like an ad, it's not, I'm totally not affiliated, I just like it. But one of the things I like about it is that it has a feature called On This Day. And so you can look back at, like today being July 27th, I can look back at all of my entries for July 27th back for however many years I've been journaling. And so I can see my entry from last year. I can see my entry from 5 years ago, which is really kind of interesting to me anyway. So one of my projects that I've been working on is taking all of those handwritten journals and actually transcribing them into my Day One journal, so that I have, all of that historical data in one place, rather than sort of scattered to the winds. When I cleaned out my storage unit several years ago, I had like an entire box full of journals. Now, why those journals ever got put in storage, I do not know, but I had a whole box worth of journals. So I've been working a little bit here and there, kind of just chipping away at it, working on transcribing some of those, which, is sort of an interesting thing to do in this time, because it's, it's looking back at things, and sometimes that's great and sometimes it's not so great, and you can get a little entrenched in that. But it's definitely put me in sort of a contemplative mood, so to speak. But it's a project that for me is worthwhile. And while no one may ever, read my journal, it's worthwhile to me to have all that together and to be able to look back at previous entries, etc. So, and also to see, my stitching and what I worked on, my reading, what I was reading at the time, all that good stuff. So anyway, so that's one of the big projects that I've been working on too, just kind of, here or there, sort of, like I said, sort of chipping away at it. That's about it. So, I don't think I have anything else. This is going to be super short. I just can't, I don't have enough to talk for an hour. So you're getting 30 minutes from me, which some people will probably be super happy with. But anyway, so that's all I have. Like I said, I'm going to keep working on the partridge. aka That Damn Bird SAL, or sorry, Damn Bird SAL. And then come Saturday, I'm going to switch over and work on Anna Ufendel and work on her for my birthday month. So that's all I got. So thanks for coming and visiting, and feel free to leave a comment. I appreciate that, even though I do read all of them. I am very horrible at responding to them, but I try to do that sort of in chunks. But I do appreciate it. So thanks, guys. Keep your head up and keep stitching, and we'll get through this. Thanks, guys. Bye.